whole nation looks to Tuesday and really hopes you know what you are doing. The momentum which lifted a nation is gone, and while we may not face Brazil in the quarterfinals, the worry now is that we may not face anybody at Alu talked about the nation's mindset, and yet while William Shakespeare recognized that when it comes to battle it is all about Harry, England and St. George, against Belgium you tried to overthink things and left out the one vital ingredient. As a result, our New England were back to being a bunch of enthusiastic but limited footballers missing its cutting edge. Heartfelt pleas aside, Southgate's thinking since he took over 2 years ago has been exemplary, of course. Slowly he has built intricate attack plans focused on getting the best from our one world-class player. And every single time Kane has been given the armband, he has delivered. Without him, however, it turns out we still cannot win, even, supposedly, one that wanted to lose. Belgium manager Roberto Martinez made no secret of how comfortable he would be to finish second, remain in Moscow for the next round and avoid Brazil in the quarters. And all the time the scores were level last night, he had his wish. Provided England continue to have fewer cards to the name than their opponents. If Belgian sentiment was in any doubt, the fans even cheered both times in the first half that the players were booked, seeming to cement the runners-up spot. Footballers are footballers, though, and a desire to win is what got them to this stage in the first place. So when Adnan Januzaj beat Danny Rose too easily and found himself in space in the England area just after half-time, instinct drilled him to float the ball past Jordan Pickford for the only goal of the game. It was exactly the sort of rapier finish that England were so sorely missing. Jamie Vardy ran hard up front and looked sharper than he had done on his 2 previous occasions, but was having to come too deep to get involved. Twice, though, he did put Marcus Rashford through. Both times the Manchester United star fluffed his lines. Kane, still sitting on the bench, must have been seething. With a different selection policy, it was also avoidable. Much of Southgate's thinking stemmed from his own experiences at the World Cup in 2002, where he was the one who did not kick a single ball. See, goalkeepers aside, who are idiosyncratic creatures and presumably used to that kind of thing, he made this a chance for everybody to get the minutes, with Danny Welbeck even joining the party when Southgate finally turned to the bench for a striker in the 79th minute. But at what cost? Effectively, Southgate was putting the needs of the players not quite good enough to be in the England team largely above those who will by carrying the hopes of the nation further into the tournament. What next for England? And the plus side, Kyle Walker, booked against Panama, is at least available. Trippier is rested to continue to impressive right flank marauding, although in fairness Trent Alexander-Arnold's performance was one of the better aspects of last night's game. Jordan Henderson, likewise, can be effervescent again in holding England together and providing an attacking platform against Tunisia and Panama. Eric Dier seems to have lost his way somewhat in that regard. But there is a strong argument that it was Roy Hodgson making wholesale changes to the team against Slovakia in Euro 2016 which contributed in a significant fashion to the debacle of Iceland in the following fixture. Furthermore, has wrapping up key players with this undersized duvet of a selection policy exposed that red-hot confidence England brought into the game so it goes cold. A second goal looked much more likely to come from Belgium. The fact England only really looked threatening from set pieces suddenly did not seem quite such the boon as it was against Panama. Ruben Loftus-Cheek had moments but lacked an end product, and Fabian Delph, while an eager foil to Dier's defensive work, added very little in terms of an attacking dimension. Goal aside, the defense looked reasonably sound, but that is hardly very much to get excited about. Southgate master plan. Which is why, of course, it might all be a ploy. The England fans maintained a voice, egged on as ever by the band, but perhaps now they will not believe that all the Three Lions' opponents will be as easy to beat as the Blessed Drum. Perhaps this is cunning expectation management by Southgate. Let's all hope that is the case and the first team, fresh as daisies, can find a way past Colombia in Moscow. Otherwise Southgate, whose judgment has been so good as to be almost miraculous thus far, may have just made his first big mistake. On the other hand, if we do win the World Cup, in Gareth we trust, for now.